down here, if I use the mower and I shred these, I get them on this guy's driveway. So I always blow them off his driveway and onto here, because I would rather take a few seconds to blow them off the driveway and back onto their turf and clean it up than I would getting a complaint from somebody else. It's just less stressful. So anyways, I'm gonna blow all this stuff down into the main area of the lawn. So leaf season's here. Pretty nice. Let me see if I can't show you some good blower techniques. Huge shout out to Glenn Evett. He's a big supporter of the channel and he requested a blower technique video, so here it is. Alright, my goal here is to, by the end of the season, have an awesome go-to video that I could use for training employees. So the next several videos I will be doing basically a voiceover practicing that. But when I actually get a video that is to my liking, I will link it in the comments below. So here's the thing, you'll notice that as I walked up here, I blew everything from the neighbors onto my portion of the property that I got to take care of. It's just easier that way. I don't want to hear complaints, and I'm going to get leaves over there as I'm doing it and pushing everything out, so I might as well just do it now. See, I got some leaves over there just now. Anyways, what I want to say here though is when you're walking up to a garage or something like that, if you blow against the door, it'll cause a backdraft where the air actually hits the door, where the air actually hits the door, goes down, and then back out. You want to use that same concept anywhere that you're up against something where you need to get it out and away from it so that you can get behind the leaves and push them away. So that works great for garage doors, front doors, and corners, wherever it might be. Now the other thing is when you're tied up in a corner, sometimes you just got to practice with this. You'll use different hand maneuvers. You might use the way that you move the blower itself, and you're going to notice this all the way through the lawn, but when you're in a corner, you're really going to get a lot of practice with this, where you're kind of kicking it out and away from the corner. So I use this almost counterclockwise type swirl, but it would depend on which direction the corner is, so don't get caught up on counterclockwise, clockwise, whatever. You're going to use almost a spin to it, so you're going to hold the blower and you're going to rotate it in a circle motion, okay? And then when you're in a broad area coming across the lawn and you just want to push them, you're going to use a swath side to side motion. And when they start getting thicker, sometimes you'll have to hit the top layer and then actually push the bottom layer. So by hitting the top layer, you're pushing it out, and then you get less and less so you can move it easier. Now you notice I just blew out the windowsills. When I'm doing this and I get leaves up in the windows, be professional and get them out of there. So don't just look at the ground. You do want to get everything out of the turf, and I will say this backpack blower is a monster and it really helps. So I don't get paid by Echo. I wish I did, but you know, that is what it is. I don't have any sponsors right now, just so everybody knows. But as I say that, I like using their product. I'll say it. Echo, I like using it. Yardbook, I like using it. Still HS45s, I love those trimmers. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different things I use. I'm not really in love with my mower. It's a mower, but I'm getting off point. Now as I'm doing this, you're gonna see me come up and I'm gonna get everything out the porch. I want to get all this stuff away from the house, and I'm gonna blow it out of the beds. Now here, these beds are lava rock, so you actually want to hit this not pointing your nozzle directly down at it, and this works for mulch as well, but lava rock's very light. I'm almost pointing it up high, because if I point it down towards the ground at a steep angle, I'm going to kick all that stuff out. So you don't want to do that. Now here's where you'll see me start moving the thicker piles. It's starting to get stacked up, right? So one thing I do is, you'll see it right here, I'm kind of doing this spin motion with my hand. I will work to the edge of the pile. You ever seen, if you're in the beginning of landscaping and you haven't done this before, I'm sure you've noticed landscapers always had like this straight line of leaves, and when I first started I was like, how do they do that? Well, a big portion of it is just getting used to it, and then having a strong enough blower to do that. But as you're working the pile, you're working the edge. So I'm going up and down, okay, walking forward and then back. That was weird. I'm walking forward and then back down my line, and then right here it's real thick, so sometimes I'll actually walk straight through it and I'll cut a path, and then as I walk back I'll hit what's left, and that moves the whole pile about 6 or 7 foot forward. All this stuff is just, it's just techniques that you have to practice to get it down. What's up, kitty? Come here, dude. That's what I was hearing. I thought I heard my daughter crying. Alright, so yeah, I honestly, whenever I hire an employee and they're working with me, I know they're not going to be that good at a blower until they've gone through a leaf season. Because the thing is, they might have it down with grass a little bit, but man, when it comes to leaves, it's a whole nother ball game. You're kicking it out of corners, and when it gets wet, it's a nightmare. You've got obstacles, you've got things that you're going to run into that you're worried about blowing out of the beds, so like the rocks or the mulch, and you have to be considerate, because if a client had mulch done recently and you're blowing all their mulch out and onto their turf, especially like fescue, like this isn't a nice yard, but if you were to blow it into a nice yard, they're going to be a little upset with that. Like, you want to do a good job. You're also worried about getting like acorns and gumballs and twigs and all that stuff up too. Whoa. Alright, check this out. So we're actually getting to a pile now. So if you were going to tarp this, and I'm blowing it to the curb to vacuum it up, but if you were going to tarp it and you want it all in a pile, well, you get it all in a pile and then you start working your way around the pile, and you're trying to work it into a concentrated area so that you can put your tarp close to it and not have to move it real far. The idea is to have the blower do the work so you don't have to do the work with the rake, okay? So as you're walking around, you might walk around it a couple times, you're going to throttle less and less and go steeper at a steeper angle until you get it to where you're wanting it. Okay, back here in the backyard, there's this pile of stuff that they're cutting out. That's their thing. If you got leaves caught up in that, it kind of is what it is. Don't try to get every leaf out of there. Cat, for real, dude. Chill out, man. You're not supposed to be up there. Alright, I'm not going to edit that. But anyways, let's just walk back to the camera, reposition that. This is the stuff that it takes when I'm actually doing it, but normally I would edit that out. I'm going to leave it now, though. So when I'm working it down the fence line here, we'll just pretend the illusion that never happened. I'm just working it down the fence line. One of the things is, like, whenever you have chain link or a metal fence like this, you want to try not to blow it through. In this scenario, it was well overgrown. This is the old side of town, so you know, it is what it is. So when you're doing that, what you want to do is you're coming in and you're putting your blower up against the fence, like side by side parallel, and then you're kicking it outward. You see how I'm doing that? Up and down, and then side to side, kicking it outward. Never pushing it towards the fence. Always keeping side by side. Now when you're in this corner, this is an odd corner actually. In this situation, you're blowing it out, you got to keep working it out. You just stay parallel to everything there. Okay, I move it more than once, so enjoy that. A little behind the scenes clip. And that's my cat. Still doing weird stuff. I'm not a cat person, but my wife brought it home and I do enjoy it. That's getting off topic again. Okay, so here. Alright, so you notice the side to side motion and then up and down motion. When I do that, that's because it's thick and it's kind of caught. The pile's caught, so I'm actually cutting a channel in a pile. When I go up and down, I'm cutting a channel in the pile so that I can get leaves to go through there. I normally do that when it's thick. This here, in this situation, I'm kind of starting to get a line, and you'll see me work the line, pushing everything, just pushing the edge of the pile straight forward. So in this case I'm making basically a line out of it, but I'm cleaning up both sides first. At this point, alright, I'm just going to throw out, this tarp was really heavy, and when you're coming through gates like this, is a smaller gate, I've got a smooth pull on one side, and then I've got the actual chain link fence gate over there, and the hinges on the chain link will catch on the tarp, because you got to think with the weight, it's pushing outward as much as it can. So when I'm coming through this gate, I'm trying to put all the weight on the tarp, if this makes sense. I'm trying to pull the tarp towards the side that's smooth, because it's not going to catch. The other side, it's going to catch a little bit. It is what it is. So sometimes you got to really fight to get those through.